Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pedagogy in Practice. In this video, I am going to be talking to you about user experience design, and really I hope to give you several tips that you can use when designing your own class for the sake of your students' experience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay. So in order to get us started, I thought it might first be beneficial to start talking about what is UX design, otherwise known as user experience design. So let's go ahead and assume for a second that this box of Lucky Charms is your course material. There are two terms that I would like to help spell out. One is user interface design, and then of course, our topic for today, user experience design. User interface design deals with the touch points that allow your students to interact with your course material. In this case, this is the spoon, right? So you might want to think about things like, do you have buttons on pages? And what color are those buttons? Are they BC colors? Are they blue, right? What do those elements look like? Now, user experience design deals with your students' first contact in your course to their last, and it also deals a great deal with providing structural solutions to make your students' journey through your course more efficient. So in this case, we're going to have this spoon dipping into the bowl of cereal with milk. Now, what happens when data or feedback from your students indicates that they don't like having soggy cereal, which means they only want to be able to dip their cereal into the milk when they're ready to eat it? Well, then you have to change that experience for your students, and which often means changing the structure of your course. So those are the main differences between user interface design and user experience design. Next, what I want to do is actually provide you about 4 tips that will help you with designing your students' experience in your class. Let's get over to it. Okay. My first tip for you is to focus on real users. Students in different subject matter areas tend to prefer things differently, and sometimes even the subject matter might, indicate that. In STEM, there may be labs and things like that, whereas in humanities, there's essays and other types of projects that students have to work on. So if you're familiar with the subject, if you're familiar with teaching the course, focus on the real users, right? Design your class for your students. If you're brand new, talk to some colleagues that are teaching the same course. Get a sense of what the students like to interact with. My second tip for you is to let data inform your design. So what do I mean by that? Well, Canvas comes with some really cool analytic tools, and you can actually see the types of areas that your students frequently go to, right? So try to let those analytics inform how you're going to design your class, especially if there's high point areas. Try to figure out ways that your students can access those more efficiently. And of course, if you'd like to get direct feedback from your students, then I would recommend providing feedback surveys throughout the length of your course at different intervals, maybe 2 or 3 times a semester, right, to get different amount of feedback about different things in your course from your students. Now, if you provide these feedback opportunities for your students, just know it will also align with OEI rubric element A11, learner feedback, which is a great way to approach designing your class. My third tip for you is design consistency. So no matter where your students are at in your course, you should keep the design consistent, and that maintains between assignments, pages, discussions, announcements, your homepage, how you structure your modules, right? The best way to approach it is to have nice chunked content. Because remember, what you want is you want your students focused on learning the subject matter, not on how to access it. And one common thread in interacting in online environments is less clicks equals more. My fourth tip for you is what I'm going to call the technological handshake. In other words, become very familiar and friendly with the technology that you have access to. In other words, we provide a lot of professional development opportunities. Take advantage of them. Our course management system, Canvas, provides updates at various intervals. Stay up to date with those so that you know different tools that you can implement in your class to benefit your students' needs. Now, I'm not saying every bell and whistle that comes out you need to implement in your class. You're going to let your course, as we talked about in earlier tips, inform if those are necessary, right? But at least be familiar with them so you know what tools you have at your fingertips. Well, that's all I have for you in this episode. I hope you found those 4 tips beneficial, as well as the distinction between user interface design and user experience design. Please don't forget, please subscribe and like our videos, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.